pictures just into us today of a tent city in Haiti full of people who were displaced by January's earthquake. Now, this tent city is called Aviation Camp. It is on the side of a former military airport, and thousands of people live in tents there, among helicopters, old ones, small planes as well. And Monday marks the 6-month anniversary of the earthquake. The disaster killed more than 200,000 people. It left more than 1.6 million people homeless and in need of aid. Now, 6 months in, many are asking, is enough being done? One organization is urging others to act quickly on Haiti's behalf before things get worse. I'm joined now live from Los Angeles by Sam Jean, spokesperson for Yele Haiti. It's a charity that's founded by his brother, of course, recording artist Wyclef Jean. It was founded back in 2005. Sam, good morning to you.
Good morning, Alex.
Give me your assessment on what the situation is on the ground now, some 6 months in.
6 months in, the situation hasn't improved. Rubble still dominates the landscape. You have hundreds of thousands of people who are displaced and living in tent and tarp settlements. So the situation has actually gotten worse.
Sam, what has happened there? Is it just aid money that is not moving quickly enough? Is that what's behind all of it?
Well, I think there are a couple of issues. One of the issues is the total collapse of infrastructure. After the earthquake, the internal infrastructure of the country just collapsed. But I think even more importantly than that, there's a lot of aid that has been pledged but hasn't been implemented. And in the next couple of days, Wyclef is going to talk about that more extensively. But he's basically going to call for the Interim Haitian Recovery Commission to release $150 million to deal with public safety and security concerns, to deal with kidnappings, abductions, sexual assaults, and rapes that have been occurring in some of these tent settlements and some of the communities that are much more vulnerable, and also $150 million to deal with rubble recovery. In addition to that, we'd also like for the UN, the Haitian Recovery Commission, and former Presidents Bush and Clinton to commit to collecting the billions of dollars that have been pledged by the international community, and taking those pledges and converting them to cash to help rebuild the infrastructure. I think if those things happen, then you can see the pace of recovery quicken.
Yeah, you know, Sam, to put that all in perspective, you talk about the rubble, and we offered a statistic earlier this morning which said you could fill 5 of the Louisiana Superdomes, completely fill them with the rubble that is there in Haiti. I mean, it's an enormous task. But when you say the government and the infrastructure has been decimated, who is in charge right now? Is it just local officials? Is it NGOs? I mean, who's taking matters into their hands?
Well, it's a combination, and when I talk about the infrastructure, you know, for example, if buildings collapse that house governmental agencies, whether it be the police or the fire department or whatever, if those infrastructures, if those buildings collapse and they aren't rebuilt, so you have policemen or firemen, emergency personnel who are out of work, so there's no infrastructure to help. If you have buildings, construction buildings that have fallen, demolition crews that don't have work, that don't have equipment, it's very difficult to effectuate any kind of recovery. So the government is doing what it can, and you have NGOs such as Yele, which continues to do what we can to participate in the recovery. You know, but it's a very difficult process.
Sam, you and Wyclef, you mentioned Yele Haiti. What do you guys need most? What, first and foremost, if people want to help out through your charity, Yele Haiti, what can they do? What do you need?
Well, one of the things, you always need money, we always need donations, but aside from donations, monetary donations, we need people to volunteer. If that means going to Haiti for a couple of weeks, they can do that. And it's not just our NGOs, other NGOs, people want to, if people want to donate in-kind donations, which are clothes, food, medicine, tents, all those kinds of things. Those things are very useful, and those are the things that can help. But cash speaks first, and if we could get people to pledge more money, and not only pledge more money, but the money that's already been pledged, if it can be collected and allocated towards Haiti, that would be very, very helpful.
Yeah, it is an absolutely daunting task, but I hope people will step forward and help you, Sam Jean, you and your brother Wyclef, with Yele Haiti, or any way they're able to do so. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.